ready to start infamous traffic, and I was wrong about the one roll that I wasn't certain about. Notably, red text. No wonder I couldn't find it, right? All right, so I had it absolutely reversed. If the region has too few dice, the player who just acted should take the necessary dice from the pool, roll them, and place them in the region. If it has too many dice, they get returned to the pool lowest first without re-rolling. It doesn't say without re-rolling, but whatever. So yeah. So dice, when they come out, get rolled. And when they go back, they stay the same, I guess. And let's start. Well, the first thing we get to do is we get to peek. And purple's our first player. It's a random, he'll peek at this prize. And it's a -1 prize. We definitely don't want a -1 prize. So I'm going to use even for don't want and 6 for really don't want. 1 is really 1. Just my way of. Blue will look at their own little thing because, hey, maybe we won't get it. It's a 1. That's pretty good. I don't know what the distribution is, but I'll put a 3 on that. Just to remind me, gray will take the third one. It's a 0. And we don't particularly want a 0, but we don't care too much about it. Red, I'm going to randomize. I can't think of a good reason not to, except for this. The one person, purple is the one person who kind of who I dominate. Gray dominates me. I think that means that I want to go and look at gray's piece. I know nothing about it, but I know that gray put a 2 on it, so I'll put a 2 on it as well because it means the same thing as the negative, right? Okay. We didn't do the first 2 actions there. Now we go over here. Purple. What's he going to do? Lots of choices. In my playing of the game so far, I've been fairly happy with trying to get dominance and industry lead in this rather than dealing with the 0 point merchants. However, if I buy one of these, I drop down. So I am going to grab a merchant. And look, I'm now the industry leader in merchants. Awesome. 2 victory points already down. Yeah. Now, if you're at negative value, whatever your value is as a Scion, when you do that, something I forgot to mention, you're allowed to pay some money, some of your revenue in. I think it's limited to 2. To up your value. If you're at a negative value, playing revenue can give you a shot at getting one. This guy really doesn't want his. He kind of doesn't want his. So this guy's the only guy who might pay, and at a 1 point, I don't remember what the distribution is. Do they tell me? They're okay. So they range between 1 and -1. So 1's pretty good. We'll drop this to a 1. That's as good as it gets. So he might be willing to pay an income to get that. But what does he want to do now? Well, considering that he's possibly willing to pay an income to get that, merchants are a possible choice. Here's the problem with merchants. It's that I can't really, I can't place them anywhere. So I'd have to take a merchant and an envoy to place the merchant. But at least I get away for free. So I'm going to grab a merchant, and that moves this forward. Same as he does. And there goes his industry lead. Over here, you know, maybe I want to claim an industry and kind of push things on people. I don't know. I don't really have any dice here to make decisions with, so I'm going to have to go grab extra dice. I like the opium because it has a higher payoff for the cost. So that looks appealing to me. And on odd, I'm going to go for opium. Let's see. I choose not to. I choose instead to take my free merchant investment as well. Nobody's playing with those yet. There's not a lot of reason to. Over here. Well, he's in a similar position. Maybe he'll go for the opium. He also gets even. He'll just take a merchant as well. That brings me over here. He can take the opium. He'll pay, grab one of these. He now becomes the industry leader in opium. Now you'd be paying a revenue to lose the to take the industry leader away from someone. It might be worthwhile. I don't know, but brings us over to him. I have the opportunity to become the industry leader in shipping. Or I could become the industry leader in merchants and have no chance of placing one, or grab a special envoy. On anything but a 6, I'm going to go for the envoy. I roll a 6. All right. We're going to invest in shipping then. And we become the industry leader in shipping. That brings us over here. Well, I can't open a port. That can only be done through the opium wars. I can't get leadership in either of these by investing. So I feel like I don't particularly care about any of these. I feel like my action is going to be either invest in opium or in merchants. And I'm going to do it even. He goes for the merchant, grabs a second merchant, but he's going to place it as an envoy because I think there's some opportunity to slip in there and get some points. We'll see. I don't think anybody has tremendous capability there. That puts red in the same kind of position, really. I could take away the industry lead, and then if somebody places, I could undercut them if desired. Or I could grab another opportunity with a merchant. My feeling is I'm not going to get to slip that merchant in very easily anywhere. If a chain's completed here, an action back in one of these could give me something. Interesting. So I look at these and I say, well, this would be the safest with the 0 smuggler. You could, of course, do a police action and cut capabilities here. That doesn't really help me much. Getting rid of the smuggler, I might make it a little less valuable. That doesn't sound bad. We're going to grab this. Excuse me. We're going to be putting a smuggler here. I'm just making sure I have 1s and 4s here. We're going to put an extra police in. That creates another Qing force. We're going to destroy this smuggler. If we destroy this, nobody can place in there, and that causes problems. We're going to destroy this smuggler. That causes 2 outrage because the British are like, wait, we were planning on making money off that or something. There's only 1 unit in here, so I gotta get rid of a die. If I get rid of the 4, none of these chains are gonna complete, so I'm gonna get rid of the 1, and it goes back to the pool. Oh, it's not clear which order. I think I have to pick one of these first. It doesn't matter because the dice all work out, but what do I want to reroll? Well, I want to make sure that I get a number that I can place in here. Because why? Why am I doing this? This is horrible. I'm helping him. Screw this, man. No. I'm only helping the gray player by doing this. I thought there was something good for me. So this comes back, and these go here. Okay, so if I open this up, this guy, and put a smuggler there, this guy gets to connect it. And, you know, yeah, maybe I could slip in under him or something, but if he puts it at one bucket, it's not really worth my effort to do anything. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. Oh, I could just take, let's get these back where they belong. I could just take a British flag. I mean, it's not, there's no real great reason for me to grab what I'm going to grab. I ought to see what happens. So yeah, let me grab a British flag instead. That increases outrage by 1. Okay. And we come back over here. And what's purple going to do? What's purple got to do with it? Well, and we haven't, you know, because we haven't used our investment yet, we might if somebody puts a big shipment in or something. So, purple has the opium. Opium's neat. Can't do any more investment. We've used both of our markers there. These guys have not. This guy used a second one. This guy has not used his second investment, though. So that's kind of an important bit of flexibility. And nobody took 2 merchants for no good reason. Other things I might want to do really come down to placing something. I don't know enough to want to place something yet. Or grabbing a conspiracy. Well, filling out this might be appealing. This is even more appealing. So what I'm going to do, since I have the only opium, right, is I am going to grab, I can't. Yeah, I could. Yeah. Why don't I? I could get undercut. All right. I'm going to grab this, generating 2 outrage. Oh, look, the Brits are coming. And I have 2 tokens. There are no more left, so I have an advantage there. I'm going to place this here. That gets me an additional die. 1 and 4 are already there. I don't particularly want to open up more things, so let's look at what we got. Let's kill 6, because that could be a big money if that got put into some place like here. And now we roll. And we get a 2. Which means now we've got a 7 for this, potentially. Come down here, blue. Blue has shipping. No one else has shipping, but we're waiting on red. You know, if we know what red's going to do, it would help us. So we don't want to go first. Or we could drop a 1 in here and assume red's not going to drop a 0 and shove us out. Which means we consider this as well. What do we think we want to do for this? Well, we know that there's going to be one of these suckers, unless something happens. I don't know. Why don't we open something interesting up for red? I'll be putting a clergy here. I can keep going. Put another one here. And I'm going to put this dude here. Okay. That means we get 2 new dice. Well, I want to keep things kind of open. So I'm going to re-roll the 1 here. I want to make more opportunities is basically what it is. So we get a 3. And I'm going to grab a 4. I guess. I don't know. And I get a 3. And who was this? Damned if I know. I think it was blue. That brings us over to gray. Gray's got a merchant. I could place it somewhere. I don't have any assurances yet. So grabbing some of these doesn't seem like a terrible thing. Now, we're not terribly interested in a port being opened, are we? We're not shippers. So I think what we're going to do we care about this? Let's deprive them of one of these. So we're going to get a Queen Force, which we're going to put in here. We've got this extra Dudski, who we're going to stick up here. And that opens it up. But red doesn't have that extra merchant, and there's no rote set up yet. And we're going to grab the 5 die. Uh-oh, look, the dice pool is getting eaten up. And we get a 1 there. Now we got to be kind of careful. Yeah, everywhere can be placed in still, except by merchants, unless they throw their envoy. Red. Red is saying the envoy is beginning to look like a reasonable choice. If I take that, though, I free people up to putting big placements for their other pieces. So again, I'm still kind of thinking maybe I want to go with this. Now some of these people have 2 pieces, but nobody's going to have 2 pieces on the board at this point. So if the game ends, victory is going to go over here unless, well, the prizes are going to determine victory. I've got a good prize that I'm seeing, so if I pass early, I don't know. Actually, I don't have a very good prize that I'm seeing. So yeah, it's not a bad prize, but it's not what I'd gamble on. So what am I going to do? I mean, we could actually end this game because there's an opium war on turn 1. If purple processes the war in a violent manner. Opening ports, which would take dice from the pool. That gives purple a lot of knowledge. So if they have the most pieces on the board, they have the start player thing. Ooh, that's kind of dangerous. So I don't know that I want to throw more of these out. In fact, I may want to prevent something from happening. Where do I want to protect? I could throw more troops in here, but why don't we put a troop in here? And now there are 4 Queen troops on the board. Wow. I've never seen a game go quite like this where everybody's just kind of feeling frozen. But I think it comes more, more knowledge of the game has made me see different things. Purple. Purple's thinking, I got a shitty prize there, but I don't know what that means. One of the other prizes might be good. If I can end this early, I've got a slight advantage on everyone else. So maybe I want to pull dice from the thing and try to create outrage. Okay? I have a crate, which I'm probably going to get to score. And if I score it, he can still put a crate down. That's the problem. Then I'd get first choice of prizes, which when I take, it's not mine. That much I know. I can't get in that merchant space, so I'm going to place this here. And that draws another die from here. I don't particularly know what I want to do. Rolling the match of the 1 doesn't seem like a bad move. Let me get a 2 there. Great. That's not connected. I don't know if it matters because nobody's involved in it, but which means we get to blue. What's blue got here? Blue's looking at, I still have a shipping that I'd like to play. I don't really want to cause outrage. I don't really want to pull dice, but I'm worried that purple might cause more outrage. Do I want to pass earlier? No, we'll keep delaying because red hasn't done anything yet. We'll pull these two. That'll kill another die, but that's okay. Let's put that die, I don't know where. Kind of doesn't matter. We'll put it back here. We definitely want to be able to get into those two, so we leave the 3 and the 4 die. 4 there. And then we got this police. We do not want outrage, so we can't put it where there's a black zone. Put it down here for some reason. That creates another queen force. And that's important because I've prevented the British from doing the Opium War, which could, you know, give him an edge to ending the game early in terms of a quick win. That gets us to gray. Well, I'm pretty much left with place. I could throw a merchant somewhere. And I mean, yes, I could throw a merchant up here, but red could beat me out on it. Conspiracy, I could kill another die. We're getting awfully close there. Yeah, I want more knowledge. Let's fill this one in. And here's where it gets tricky. We have a merchant. 4 can get us into one of these two. That's not the perfect situation. And 3's is, well, this 4 is useless. Yeah. So do we think we have a better chance of getting our merchant scored here? No, because, well, somebody's going to score this, or they're going to score that. Shit. We don't have a good option at all. I think we're just kind of shit out of luck here. I had a merchant. I had a dude. So that's what I'm trying to see is that dude. I'm going to put that dude up here because I think I can score one there. That means I want to have the 4 so that this is available, so I'll roll the 3. And this is kind of crazy. Well, I'm not going to be able to place there. Now, people can place where there's no opportunity by using an envoy too, but that's kind of iffy. Unless this had gotten shut out and these, and there was just no place to place. And even then, it's strange. That gets us to red. Red cannot take a conspiracy. He's at the point where he has to make his decision to invest or place. Well, I don't know. I really don't know. I like opium. So I'm taking an opium. That kills his leader marker. And puts it back over with purple. Well, now purple's in this kind of problem situation. He's got a couple of choices. He could pass, and he's already at -1. He could place an opium, but he can be undercut now. That's life, right? There's a 4 up there, so I can place only in this area. There's no 4s anywhere else. I'll place there and call that good. That puts it on the shipping. He's fine and dandy. He's got the leader. Nobody else has any. He'll place here. That's got a 5. This has a 7. So it's legitimate. And purple's going to get 1 point of income. Up to a 0. Blue's going to get 3. 1, 2, 3. This, you know, red's choice did this. But there's a kingmaker aspect to everything. And this is now is no longer a free pirate smuggler. He's tied up to a supply chain, so he loses his dice, the die that he generated. The player who placed this gets to choose which one. What does he want to get rid of? Well, why should we let anyone else place? Right? And that goes back without rolling. Okay. We also have a supply chain here. I don't know what this matters, but it's established. And it triggers this again, which means purple gets another one. Oh, this was why you don't do this. And blue gets 3. And wow, blue's kicking butt because of this weird situation that came out of all of this. And I think that these 2 dice go back because they're part of a supply chain now. Okay. Now we go to gray. And I mean, this is why I say, you know, when you're first facing it, you're just dumbfounded by everything. But I'm still seeing the effects of choices doing things that are really unexpected, you know? Okay. And I find that cool. How long does it last? That's the question. I don't know. Gray could shove a merchant in somewhere. Well, I could at least get a supply chain here, but there's a problem. I'd need to spend an envoy to get in here because it's not an open port, and an envoy to cancel out that that's a 6 die, and there's no 6 die up here. So I can't get in there. There's really very little left for me to do. I'm going to pass with my 0 value. Now that makes, if there were any of these, that would make their value, you know, their cost go up. I got to swap batteries. This one's dying. And we're on red's turn. What does red do? And you can see, I mean, this is like Tigris and Euphrates. It makes no sense. There may be stuff that's going on that represents something, but you can't really inform your decisions on that. And it also makes, the decisions are so, each one is so weighty in a lot of ways. Like a game of bridge or something. It's very hard to video, but it also makes it impossible for me to step back and give you a storyline. Yep, they placed, you know, some stuff there and something happened. I mean, the story is not the game. The game doesn't really, the narrative isn't really important to the game. It's almost an abstract in terms of the thinking. And if it wasn't, you know, if it didn't have a theme on it, and it's not what they call pasted on theme in the sense that, like, it has nothing to do with anything. Yeah, it fits very nicely. It almost seems like the design grew out of the topical considerations. So it's not just theme, but it doesn't give a narrative. That's all. So what do I do with an extra opium thing? Well, nobody's going to ship it for me. Why would I want to place it? It's a good question. I don't have a good answer for that. I didn't see anything terribly good. I am going to pass, but not take a prize. Now, I'm not going to pay, so I'm not going to put him out at all. I'm just going to stay at my -1 value. Oh, I have an investment left. Hold on, I am not passing. Give me my die back. I still have an investment, don't I? No, I spent my investment. That's why things happen. Yeah, I passed. There's not a good way to mark this, so I'm going to put him up here just to remind me that that player's passed. That brings me back to purple. What's up with purple? Purple's pissed. They thought all the dice were going to go and they were going to get a war and all kind of cool stuff. No. Which means all we have left to do that's legitimate would be to reduce our value, which would be dome or pass. And we will pass. We have an income of 1. Oh, gray passed first. I gotta remember. Gray gets this. Red passed second, so red can choose to be the first player. So I didn't explain how this works. So the first player gets this. The second player gets to choose which direction it rotates in. I think I would rather go late, so I'm going to make it go that way. Being the second passer is an important thing, right? All right, now we're down to the last player, and he could just play as much as he likes, but he doesn't really like. He's got everything he wants down. He's got a huge income at 5. That merchant's not going to help him. So we'll put this into play. Okay. And that ends it. We go to foreign and domestic affairs. Outrage isn't high. It's London season. Let me make sure I fully understand London season. But I believe what's going to happen is he gets first pick. Well, he got first pick. He is getting first pick. And he wants this. He said, I liked the prize. And it is an Oxford degree. That sounds useful. Second is the 1. What does he want? He doesn't want his, and you're stuck taking one of these. So we'll take this one. And he was swindled. But that's not bad. A 0. Definitely better than his other option. And now gray is in there. He wanted it. He placed himself there. He gets stuck with a bad marriage. And red wouldn't have been in it. We place these back. I don't know if there's any way that I'm going to be able to speed this up. So I think I'm going to move this on and let me go through the setup part of the turn because it's a mechanical process, and then I think we call it a night and go forward. So first thing is we deal the conspiracies. Well, each one gets 1 additional conspiracy space. And since they're all empty, that's not going to be too exciting. I could walk away. I could turn it off for this. We won't do this again. Okay. We deal the prizes. Again, a mechanical process. And now the new first player gets to choose which prize he wants to look at. I'm going to look at the top one just because it's easy. Oh, I don't want that one. What is it? Gambling debt. Okay, so we definitely don't want that. And that's going to inform our decisions. We saw people, making some choices on that. We're supposed to go this way, so blue. Well, I'll look at the second one. I'm way in the lead. Do I want to look at the first one with someone else and just give the other 2 to other people? I don't know. Aha, so there are ones that are above 1. I thought that was the case. So what is going on here? I just looked at this picture and assumed that that was the different ranges. Yeah. Live and learn. Okay. Purple. We feel like red will have to choose blue to try to take his information away, so we'll take a look at this one. Whoa, they get really big. How about that? Okay. And red's going to look at blues, and they like that as well. All right. And that puts us now in the actions phase. And it's time for nappies. Although the game doesn't snowball the way, say, an XX game does, or a lot of the engine building games do, in terms of, oh, look, I have a lot of money. I can invest that, and I'll keep making money off of it. this lead that blue has here in revenue is scary. First of all, if they can keep that high revenue up, they're going to be able to grab the best prizes. Which is one reason why you don't target the thing that they saw, right? Red made a mistake on doing that, although you feel like you're trying to do something to attack the leader, right? Likewise, gray is sitting here saying, I'd like to downgrade his capacity to build boats, you know, to have the leadership in there. But if I buy a boat, it's just going to be wasted, essentially. He's going to be able to keep that shipping advantage. And this is this is where the problem really lies, is figuring out how to downgrade that is not terribly easy. Where you want to attack him is not on where his strengths are, but where he doesn't have strengths, which is honestly his supply line. So how do we break up that supply line? Well, we could throw a police action in and bust it up that way. That would definitely do some good. There is one here. What does that open up? Well, you would say maybe not too much, except these smugglers, if they're put in, yeah, they bring another die, but there isn't a lot of points in here. On the other hand, maybe it's not my job to do that. What is it my job to do? It's my job to figure out what the hell I can raise my own revenue from. And that doesn't look terribly easy at this moment. There are two people who have crates already. I mean, I'm looking at, can I slip into one of these? This one's most interesting because I could use my envoy. Nobody else has an envoy to place in there. But there's no dice for that. There's no dice for that. The only legitimate places to place are here, which doesn't get me anything, and down here. Okay. Given that, we can build the first boat. I think it's worth doing. It's what I didn't really want to do. It's my only investment. I take the leadership away from him, which means he can now be undercut. But that puts him in a position where he almost immediately has to consider, I need a boat, because I'm making $3 off this. So it's very hard not to grab that leadership back. Puts us on purple. Purple. We don't have any open ports. We could make 2 investments with value. Now, who else has crates? Oh, I'm the person with crates, yeah. I'm going to do an investment in crates. And that gets me the leadership back in those. It's not too much danger of red trying to bust this up on me, to take the $1 away that I'm getting from that. They're probably going to be interested in getting their own crates. Now they have to decide, do they want, you know, to up their opium situation, or do they just want to place on the board? Placing on the board, say I place here, it means I'm pretty much trying to slip in with 1. Unfortunately, my income's already not very good. He could cover another opium packet. And this is where it's tough. There's not enough investment opportunity right now. There are a couple of smugglers, but there's not enough right now to justify 3 more supply chains being created. And I need to think, is what it comes down to. As far as I can look at things, I have one investment. I'm not going to get to play my merchant unless we do this. No, one other person has one of them. I'm pretty okay with that. Otherwise, though, I think I'm going to be playing largely in the conspiracy realm. All right, that gets us back to gray. Gray could undercut the vote. Kind of pointless. I mean, we could get in a bidding war back and forth on this. At this point, that doesn't make a lot of sense. If I slap a 1 in there, maybe it does, but what else? Jeez. I was thinking reasonably yesterday. Now, that brain's not so good. So one of the things that can be done is I can send this die back to the dice pool, and that would open up this. Or likewise, I could do the opposite down here. Or I could toss the smuggler in here and open up this line for usage. If one of these is going to be killed, I would rather it be the one with the administrator, because then my dude seems better. So yeah, I'm gonna call on this, bring these in, destroy this. Oh, there goes the die. That makes this available. But I did just kick up outrage and troops. Seriously, we're at 6 troops? Yeah. Wow. And that piece just goes away. Get back over here. Blue. Blue's in such good shape. It's hard to figure out what I want to do there. See, once I pass, I can be undercut. That can kind of hurt, but my revenue can put me in good position for this good prize that I've seen. However, I'm going to grab a hat over in the envoys to make my merchant valuable. Purple. Crate. Well, if we're opening up 2 chains of supply, then it's kind of okay to play that one. Yeah, red could undercut and I'd have to keep going, but this is the safer chain of supply. They're both equal in terms of length of completion. I have another investment if I need it. And I cannot be undersold. I can't up my price on things. We're going to just place. See what happens. That brings us over to red. And changing order, you know, the direction rather than just a start player, that's difficult. Red has nothing on the board. They have a crate and they have a hat. And what would we like to do? we have no more investment. 3 is not very appealing. I don't know about that 3 there. That's not going to be easy to score. Whew. We don't know what's worthwhile here. We don't have any investments left. I guess since we're at the disadvantage, we're going to put a smuggler, a cheap smuggler here. What do we want to prevent? I don't know if there's anything we particularly want to prevent. We'll use one of the 4s. That's not doing anybody any good now, right? One of them's fine to keep that open, but it does make it. And this didn't get much better. So this chain, he's going to have to lower his value if it's going to work, which is an interesting facet. This chain's already established. It's no problem. Gray. Gray is one of 2 people with boats. If we go in here, maybe the smuggler will be decent. I'm going to place. I can always reduce value. My stuff's used up. Over here, I have room for 1 more investment. Which we're certainly going to take. This is unappealing in some ways, but I can do something. I'll grab this ship, or this smuggler, and I'll put it here, and that gets me yet another die. I've pretty much made 3 not able to run, but 4 is not interesting either. We'll pull this out because we have the shipping interest, right? All right, we've gotten it up to 2, 4, 6. Still not very interesting with regard to this, but it's made this more possible. Okay, well, this has got a lot of money invested in it too. All right, purple. Purple has an investment if we want it. 3, 4, 5. We gotta offer something to the Navy. To make it worth going in there. I don't know how I want to do this. Red could get one in at 1. That's probably what they're going to do. I'll see if we can get a merchant to work. You know. All right. That gets it over to red. Red is, yeah, I might as well drop my piece, right? This is about as good as it's going to get. The only problem is there's a police action. Do I want to blow that police action off first? Not particularly. No smugglers, so we're not getting in there. So we'll just take this and put a crate in here at 1. That gets this to 4. I don't know if there's any chance of success on this, but that's where we are. Now, once the smugglers can be cut out with an open port, the price is reduced because remember these two spaces shrink into one. I'm almost tempted not to even place. I don't think this is going to help me. But passing with a 0 or with a negative, I could put money in and still not end up getting a prize. That's the worry here. Yep, we'll put the 1 in. All right, for gray, investment's done. What are we trying to do? We're trying to get a merchant someplace where it'll make us money. Now, we wish we had this thing working, but it's not. But maybe we need to bust up the world over here with some police. If we're going to police action, though, we kind of would like some control over what the Brits are going to do. We also would have to pay money to get our prize going. Yeah, I think we're going to drop a police action into place. Increases this. We're going to bust up which? We could destroy this one. There are no more left, so that would cause some problems. So we'll do that. That raises the outrage. And that's going to bust the supply line, which means purple loses 1. And blue loses 3. I think this stays. Where did purples come from? Purples was a ship. I get to keep it. Blue loses 3, which is really what their lead was. And now their Scion doesn't look very good anymore at all. We got to kill a die there too. Doesn't really matter which. Since we're not involved, we'll put one of those there. And we just kind of messed things up for everyone. I think this supply line stays open as well, even though, it's not there. Now note, Blue's still got some revenue left from that, because this had to link to that. I don't remember if I gave that out, but I don't know where else Blue has revenue from. So, so they've got a 1 there. All right, so that was Gray's move. We're looking at problems here. Buying English troops would force Purple to buy English troops to keep command, which would be interesting. Retiring, or whatever the equivalent, sending your son off to play in London, would make actions like that more expensive, which we probably wanted to do early just to prevent too much problem from happening. There's no way basically either of these lines is going to come through. I don't see anything else that's really available of any use. I think we're going to send our Scion off at 1 and realize that, oops, we probably should have done this much, much earlier. I got to swap batteries. Purple, I wonder how many ports I could open up. I got 2, 3 British actions. I could kill 3 of these dice. Assuming nobody spends to drop police. If I spend 1 to grab another English action, I think that I can crush the revolution, or I can cause the revolution. So what I'm going to do is weird shit. I'm going to place my ship in here anyhow. Getting markers on the board is worth something. It's the way to victory at this point. Blue has just disqualified themselves by you know, going back home to make sure the sun is doing well. That gets me to red. Red doesn't have investments. They only have one more piece. The most they can get is 2 on the board. So they're not, even if they're aware of what purple is thinking of, they're not really capable of doing much about it. Which means what? It means that I might as well pass because I don't want to pay additional income. I'm interested in this, so I'm going to pay an income, hope for the best, and drop a 0 here. There are a couple of people who look like they have to pay an income. By getting in first, they're going to have to pay 2 in order to get their victory card. That's a pretty hefty price. Might be worth it. Not for purple, obviously, because they have all other plans. Gray here. Gray is not going to get a lot of pieces on the board either. They're in the same sort of position, except they don't really want a prize terribly much. But I also don't have anything I want to do. I just saw red pay to get into 1. To me, that means this is a good prize. Do I want to pay 2 revenue to get a good prize? I think the answer is no. So I'm just going to pass for no effect. Well, that brings us back to purple, and now the cost has gotten a lot higher. But we're going to slap down a hat here. Don't ask me about this. And we whip back around to them. And now we're at 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 4. If I drop this by 2, I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4. I've generated 1, and I get 2 more revenue, which is important because the cost for what we're doing next is going to be very high. And now, when we get back, I spend 3 revenue, 1, 2, 3, because there's 3 people passed, and I grab one of these. I need a 4th one of these in order to suck down those 4 dice from the pool. And at this point, we're good. We'll pass to no effect with our Scion as well. Even though we know there's a good one out there, we're not grabbing it. Now, at this point, blue and red are both saying, wow, we're the guys who are in there and we both want the same one. Red's kind of like, I don't know. 2 people who didn't want it. But that's okay because they're never going to get a chance to get it. Because we check for the opium war and it's happening. He's the leader. He grabs it. And there was really nothing anybody could do once the pass happened. I guess somebody could have dropped a lot of money to throw police in if they saw it. But it's one of the issues with this. And we're just going to go in. I think you've got to land initially at a port. Ooh, maybe I screwed up. Maybe I screwed up. I don't know if I'm allowed to go here. In which case, there's so many troops on the other coastal spaces, I'm not going to be able to push in. Let me see what adjacency is. I think these count as adjacent, but I'm not positive. Find a definition of adjacency in the rulebook. I believe this is the legal way to do this, but you could make an argument that the path, well, actually these are adjacent by path only as well. So, yeah. That creates a revolution because 4 dice come out of the pool. No troops were destroyed. This is all the way down. And Purple has the most pieces on the board with 3 of them. Red has 1, gray has 1, blue has none, and the game's over in turn 2. Letting him get the revenue, was that the big deal? I don't know. I don't think that affected his capability to do what he did. It was just sort of the natural accumulation of things. And it's very hard sometimes to see what ways anybody could get to an automatic victory like this. I think the game usually, especially the 4-turn game, usually ends, which is everybody except 5, in an auto victory, in a revolution. I think it's very, very hard to get all the way out to turn 4, where you actually count the points. And I would actually suggest probably, I mean, my next play that I play opposed, don't tell my opponents, I probably will aim for trying to destabilize China rather than anything else. Now that doesn't mean I'm not going to try to get some kind of income, because you might need it, but it feels like the easiest way to toward victory. And everyone else will probably be working more towards establishing their revenue and everything. And I might be working towards my revenue, but only insofar as I need it to buy myself conspiracies. So that's it. This only took an hour to play. You didn't see all that much of the game, but you saw the key element, which is that it's difficult to see what the actual threats are, what's possible in the game, and you can sneak up and hit people really, really easily and cause weird things to happen. All right, let's send this one out.